What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron. What's taken up a lot of my time this offseason has been building a new running back model. This is the RS Grade 2.0 running back model, and today I am going to showcase it, walk you through how it works, and then rank the top 15 running backs in this class. Yes, is it a down year for the position? Sure, but gems will be found later on in this draft, as there always is, right? You can think to Kyron Williams, Bucky Irving, James Robinson. Arian Foster was a UDFA. Devontae Freeman was a late round guy. There will be studs to be had in this class, and today we are going to mine for them. As always, if you enjoy, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. And before we get into the tier list and we rank my top 15, let me quickly break down the model. Now, it is the RS Grade 2.0 running back model. Pretty much, you get your RS grade all the way on the right, 0 through 10. 10 is the perfect score, getting the legendary tier name, and you can see there's a certain amount of projected points per game in your first 3 years, depending on what your RS grade is. The entire point is that we are trying to solve for early career production among running backs in a better way to make this more comprehensible, right? So you're not just looking at, okay, well, Gibbs is a 9.49, Mixon's a 7.68. What does that even mean? Well, I have hit rate buckets. This is from 2017 to 2023, so we have enough data here that these players have a points per game through their first 3 seasons. And you can see Legendary has a 100% 18 plus point per game hit rate, Elite 45%, then it drops off to Gold, Silver, Bronze. It's pretty simple. These are your top 25 from 2017 to 2023 in the RS grade. So I think that it looks pretty good, right? Bijan, Saquon, Fournette, McCaffrey, all pretty even. Then Gibbs, ETN. JT is the best round 2 running back prospect in the model. You have Mixon, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Kamara, the only elite round 3 running back in the model as well. I think it's pretty strong, and here are the inputs. The old model was outdated. I didn't get to use the new. I know that PFF is kind of shaky, but I think that their metrics will still be there. This is what I put in the model, and why it's only back to 2017 is for the fun PFF metrics like yards per out run or missed tackles forced per touch. We have a film score, and this is going to be order from most to least important. We have the film score. That is just your NFL draft pick value. So instead of like pick 1, 2, 3, Pittsburgh, Spielberger, it's a trade value. It's like the Jimmy Johnson trade value chart where the difference from like pick 67 to 68 isn't the same as pick 1 to 2, because that's just not how it should be, right? Like if you're trading down from pick 1 to 2, if you're trading down from pick 65 to 66, it's going to be different trade negotiations, if you get what I'm saying. Then Lane Zierlein's NFL.com grades, which have been great for running back prospecting. Then receiving score, your career reception share, so just in terms of your receptions per game divided by your team's receptions per game. Career yards per out run, so that's on a per out basis, how efficient are you. Then PFF score. This is going to be your career missed tackles forced per touch, and then your career PFF grade weighted by your snaps. So if you have like a 90 PFF grade in year 1 with 200 snaps, and then a 65 PFF grade with like 50 snaps your next year, the 90 will get more weight. Breakout score. This is early career production. This is experience-adjusted yards per team play in a player's first 3 years out of high school. The best 2 seasons are taken. So how good were you coming out of high school? And you get a bump for producing as a freshman, and then a bump for producing as a sophomore. And then year 3 is the lowest, but you could still have a monster year in year 3 and grade out well. Then you have athleticism score. That's your speed score. So size-adjusted 40-yard dash time. RAS, relative athletic score, and weight. We want size for running backs. And then your production score. Career adjusted yards per team play, but the receiving yards are double tier and adjusted for your strength of schedule. And then I have a draft riser and faller adjustment, where we take your mock draft database pre-draft number and then what you get drafted as. And if there's a big enough discrepancy there, you get a ding on your profile. This would be Rashad Penny. He was consensus 61st overall. The Seahawks overdraft him at 27th. He gets a ding in the model. Darius Geis, 28th overall by consensus. He has some off-the-field issues, plummets down to 59th. He gets dinged in the model. Same thing with A.J. Dillon. He was 140th consensus, and the Packers took him 62nd. So just something to think about there. Now, the model is all good and well. It's pretty, but really all that matters is, does it beat out draft capital? Here is your RS grades. 0.6 R squared. It is the strongest model I've ever built. To me, it's probably my best and favorite model to this point in terms of the RS grade 0 through 10, projecting out your points per game in years 1 through 3. 0.6 R squared is a really strong number. It's how much your inputs are affecting the outputs. And then your draft pick value, so that's using the Fitz-Spielberger chart, is a 0.495. So we are beating out draft capital by a good bit with this model. And I also wanted to show this off real quick. For the longest time, my prospect model has been a screenshot on the Patreon and the Discord, and it's not been the most comprehensible way for you guys to see the prospect model, use it to its full ability. So now I have the RS grade database. That'll be available over on the Patreon. And as much as this is an advertisement for somebody out there to join the Patreon, it's also a, hey, if you're on the Patreon, this is a feature now. Please go try it out. It is open to you guys. You just need a password to get in. I will be posting that on the Patreon by the time this video is out. And you can see you have the entire running back class. You have the inputs in the model, their RS grades. And then if you click on any of them, Jeremiah Love, it'll take you to the player comparison tool where the model will compare film score, receiving score, PFF score, all of that, and find the closest comps in the database. And you can even like X out of these if you want. You can put up your own, right? Let's do like Jeremiah Love. How does he compare to like Joe Mixon? And then it'll say, 72% similarity. And then if you want Joe Mixon's comps for whatever reason, you can click on Joe Mixon. Antonio Gibson comes up, and you can just kind of like mix and match. And to me, it is the best way to kind of use the RS grades for yourself, play around with the comps, and just use them in a much more functional way. So that's over on the Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. And let's get into the 15th running back in this class. We'll start with a guy who's not the sexiest in the world. We're starting with Jamari Taylor here. RB15, but remember, John Brooks' RB1 class wasn't strong, right? That's your Marshawn Lloyd, Blake Corum, Trey Benson class, but you still got Bucky Irving in that class. Tyrone Tracy has had his moments. The Bishop Sankey class gave us Carlos Hyde, Jeremy Hill, Jerick McKinnon, Devontae Freeman, James White. There's going to be players to be had late in these drafts, right? Even guys like Ramondre Stevenson. Like, there's going to be hits on day 3 in this class, and I think it's worth really diving deep just to see, someone's going to get a fun landing spot, someone's going to emerge out of nowhere, and Jamari Taylor is my RB15. Now, I do want to say as well, if you want my complete rookie rankings, dynasty rankings, access to the RS grade database, all my prospect model stuff, that'll be over on the Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. I just did a dynasty rankings update as well. Now, when we talk about Jamari Taylor, he spent his first 5 years out of high school at NC Central. I believe that is a FCS school. He didn't really break out until year 5. He transfers to Virginia for year 6, but he has 73 catches in his 2 final seasons. He's not a great athlete, 4.86 RAS at 5'9", 199 pounds, but he does have sort of 3-down size at 199 pounds. Again, 73 catches is great. Some great wiggle too. 37% missed tackles forced per reception is the 4th best in this class. He is 5th best in yards per out run. So in a weak class, if you can just give me tackle breaking ability and pass catching and decent size at 199 pounds, I am interested. Then we will talk about my RB14 here, Le'Veon Moss. Now, this is a profile I definitely like more. I am 100% a sucker for the, what do you want to call him? Like Devi Darling, who didn't work out. Le'Veon Moss was the 3rd-rated running back in his recruiting class, 4-star recruit. He was behind Devon Achane as a true freshman. Then in his sophomore year, he was actually pretty solid, 50 rushing yards per game, then 85 rushing yards per game as a junior. Both seasons cut due to injury. He's only played 32 games in 4 years. This is somebody that produced early, has the pedigree, right? His year 2 is pretty strong. His year 3 is pretty strong, but there's a lot of injury issues. I think that he has torn his ACL and MCL, hamstring pull, ankle injury, all the way through his final year. He's never had more than 11 receptions in a single season. He is a pure between the tackles runner, but he's also a film guy. Lance Zierlein, one of the inputs in my model, the NFL.com grades, has him tied for the RB5 here. It's Love, Price, Washington, Randall, who he really likes, Damon Claiborne, and then Le'Veon Moss. He has Le'Veon Moss compared to Tank Bigsby, which I think is a good comp. A running back who is purely between the tackles, was once a Devi Darling at an SEC school. Le'Veon Moss, if he's Tank Bigsby as your RB14, that's not too bad. But now we will move on to the C tier. These are guys I like a little bit more than that. And we'll actually keep this Lance Zierlein screenshot up because he is another Lance Zierlein guy. We have Demond. Let me know if I'm saying that name right. Demond Claiborne. he is also tied as the RB5 here. He is 8th in the mock draft database in terms of consensus mocks where he's going to get drafted. So he has draft capital on his side. Film guys like him. He has a 4.36 40-yard dash at 188 pounds. So you're hoping for somewhere between like Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell, right? Justice Hill is a little more like boring pass catching back. Keaton Mitchell is your fun, explosive back. We'll see where he falls there. I will say, I just wish that the 4.3 40 translated more. He has the 6th worst 15-yard plus rate in this class, so he wasn't really breaking away long runs despite the speed. But I'll lean on the film guys and the potential draft capital here. Now we get into players I really like, but I am scared aren't going to get the draft capital I want. We have RB12, and I probably should have said it, but we're gonna count down 15-1. I think it's more fun that way. You've already heard everything you need to hear about Jeremiah Love and the top guys. We have Desmond Ridder. Here's the issue. Again, I like him a lot more than the NFL. The NFL has him 269th overall in the mock draft database. That is somebody who could very easily be a UDFA. He is that far down the list because he is 5'6", 174 pounds, and he only runs a 4.58. So he is small and slow. But my model absolutely loves him. Now, this is the feature over on the RS grade database where you can do the player comp thing, and his player comps are fun. All right, he is a silver 4.5. Yes, he gets comped to Deuce Vaughn and Donnell Pumphrey and Darwin Thompson, but he also gets Bucky Irving and Kyron Williams. And to me, I think that is what his profile is. He has a massive upside swing potential as one of these guys that's small, undersized, and can produce. And if he's not Bucky Irving or Kyron Williams, guys who are a little bit bigger than him, right, 190-ish pounds, he's more 170. I think that Desmond Ridder is maybe more Keaton Mitchell, Tariq Cohen, Nyheim Hines as some fun names out there. And the reason why the model loves him, right, we're talking silver for a round 7 projected player. He has a really good production score in terms of his breakout score. You can see there it is 95th percentile. The NFL.com Next Gen Stats production score has him 3rd highest in this class. He is the 2nd youngest running back in this class behind only Jeremiah Love. He played FCS ball at Western Carolina, but was awesome. He was the freshman of the year and then at 112 rushing yards per game. Then he transfers to Pitt. And in his first year with Pitt, he has 52 receptions and then 87 rushing yards per game. So an all-purpose back there. Injuries derailed his final season. He had a 29% missed tackles forced per touch number, which is really solid in his final year. So we got to see with draft capital what ends up happening with Reed, but he is really fun. He is going to be like, if we do a sleepers video, which we always do, he will be somebody I'm stashing on taxi squads if he gets a UDFA. If he gets a fun landing spot, he'll be somebody I'm drafting in the 3rd round of rookie drafts. I really like Reed. It's just going to come down to landing spot and if a team actually drafts him. Same idea here with Eli Heidenreich out of Navy. This one's another interesting one. Again, I don't know if the NFL is going to like him as much as I do. As of right now, his steam is sort of running out. If we look at the mock draft database, you can see here that on March 7th, he was the 171st pick on mock draft database. He's now 234. So we are trending down and we are trending towards like UDFA territory. But this is another guy. The model loves him. He is my RB4 by the model in this class. But you have to remember, it's a tricky profile. He plays at Navy. So they have 182 pass attempts this past year, 626 rush attempts. So what that does is it makes your market share stats and everything like that really weird. And then you also don't know what he's going to play in the NFL. He went to the combine as a running back, but on PFF, he is listed as a fullback. I believe if you watched him play, you would say that he's more of a wide receiver. This past year, 331 snaps in the backfield, a ton of those at fullback, 264 snaps out wide, 110 in the slot, 41 as an inline tight end, 39 on punt coverage. So this is a special teamer. This is a part-time tight end, slot receiver, outside receiver, running back, fullback, and it's a really fun player, right? His best rushing season is only 77 carries, 499 yards, and 3 touchdowns. His best receiving season, 51 catches, 941 yards, and 6 touchdowns. If you have 941 yards and 6 touchdowns receiving at a military academy, you might as well be the entire passing offense. So all of his passing numbers are through the roof. But again, like we don't know what's going to happen here. Is he going to play running back full time? Will he be a wide receiver running back hybrid, tweener? Is he going to be like a Tavon Austin that doesn't really work out? Is he going to be like a late career Cordell Patterson? Is he going to be a special teamer only? Is he going to be Taysom Hill? It's a really wide range of outcomes, but I like swinging for the upside here when in a weaker class. Why not kind of use your imagination as Scott Barrett does here? There's a non-zero chance that Eli Heidenreich is just a white Percy Harvin. And you look at his measurables, 4'4", 40 at 198 pounds, 6 foot. His 3-cone is also ridiculous as well. It's not listed up there. It's like one of the fastest 3-cones ever for, I want to say, like a 6-foot player. He has really great short area quickness. He looks comparable to Percy Harvin and McCaffrey. That's his absolute ceiling outcomes. It's crazy. Like his range of outcomes is like, could he be the next Christian McCaffrey? That's 100th percentile outcome. Could he be kind of like what Kenny Gainwell was this past year for the Steelers, like a rotational back that specializes in receiving and chunk plays and efficiency? Danny Woodhead, Rex Burkhead, like this is a classic Patriot style, like Julian Edelman style player. If Belichick was still in the NFL, he could be Taysom Hill, and he could just not even make an NFL roster. Like the range is so wide, but I do want to bet on this profile. We look here from Johnny Tuma's tweet, 99th percentile target rate, 99th percentile yards per out run versus man, 90th percentile versus zone, 99th percentile first downs per out run, 95th percentile yards after the catch per reception. A really fun profile. At running back, he leads this class in rate of rushes of 10 or more yards. You have to remember as well, at Navy, all they do is rush against stacked boxes. So being able to turn out rushes of 10 plus is great. Tied for the 4th best in missed tackles forced per rush attempt. So there's a lot going on here. Right now he's projected as he could be a UDFA. So I don't want to get too far over my skis here. But him and Reed are the two guys that on like day 3, I will be on the edge of my seat hoping that they get meaningful draft capital in any sense of that word to you. But after that, our RB10 here is going to be Seth McGowan in C tier. These are guys that are probably going to get drafted day 3. I feel much better about them getting drafted day 3 than these guys down here. And you start to sort of squint, and these guys have better profiles. Seth McGowan has a really weird story. He was a 4-star recruit to Oklahoma. He had 46 rushing yards per game as a freshman. That is amazing on a 9-2 Oklahoma team with peak Ramondre Stevenson. That's amazing. But then he gets arrested. So 2021, he gets dismissed from Oklahoma. 2022, he redshirts at a school I thought was fake in Texas College. Then he goes to a community college. Then New Mexico State. Then Kentucky. The biggest issue is he never really has a peak season after the off-the-field issues. And then he's also turning 25 this upcoming season because of the off-field stuff, right? When you get dismissed in 2021, you take this weird route, he's going to be 25. So we're talking kind of like a Ray Davis. Ray Davis was even younger than him as a prospect, but he is somebody who he needs to produce right away because he's not going to ever be a top 12 Dynasty running back. Value-wise, he is simply going to be somebody who is going to score points for you in Dynasty, which is still a good problem to have, right? Somebody who's going to score points on your team. That's what you're looking for in Dynasty, especially we're talking about probably an early 3rd round rookie pick here. But he does have some good things here. He had 42 catches in his final 2 seasons. His 1.56 yards per out run is the 4th best in this class. So he has pass catching, and then he also has size and speed on his side. Where you can see here, he comps to Quinshon Judkins in the RAS database. And that's not to say he's going to be Quinshon Judkins and that there are similar prospects. It's just that Judkins was drafted highly because he was a freak athlete. McGowan is right there, 4'4", 40, 220 pounds, 42.5-inch vertical is nuts. So he's explosive, he's fast, he's big, he has pass catching ability, and that's really all you need for me to be in on you as a running back prospect. Then at RB9, we have Adam Randall, who I want to like a lot more than I do. I would love to be all in on Adam Randall. He makes so much sense, right? We're talking about 230-pound running back, converted wide receiver. This should be like a pumped-up Tyrone Tracy. And when you think pumped-up Tyrone Tracy, that's Antonio Gibson. He was the original wide receiver running back convert who was awesome and 4.39 40-yard dash at 228 pounds. Randall doesn't quite run that fast at 4.5. 37-inch vertical for him is great, though. And I know Antonio Gibson, I guess people have a sour taste in their mouth for Gibson, but he was the RB16 and the RB17 in points per game in his first 2 years. He had a solid career for somebody, if the RB9 in this class becomes Antonio Gibson, you are pretty happy with that. But here's the issue with Randall. As a wide receiver convert, 0.96 career yards per out run is brutal. It's brutal. It's like bottom percentile of this class. Like it should be 1.5 plus minimum. And then he has no juice at all from a rushing standpoint. He was third worst in this class in rushes of 15 plus yards. If you want to compare him to Gibson had a 2.21 career yards per out run for Memphis, and then he had the highest 15 plus yard run rate in my entire database. So Gibson was just an alien in his own right. And I think it's probably an unfair comparison that I've seen him get just because of the wide receiver convert thing. You can see here when I brought up his player comparables on the database website, Kalen Ballage popped up. I manually put in Antonio Gibson here so you can kind of see the differences. I think Kalen Ballage is probably the correct comp as like a big, fast for his size running back who's raw and can catch passes, but likely doesn't put it all together at the NFL level, but maybe he can kind of absorb touches in a similar way to like Carlos Hyde. It's like a big plotting back who catches passes. That's still a fun outcome. Then at RB8, I love myself a Devi darling, Jaden Ott. After his second season at Cal, Jaden Ott was a huge Devi pick. And when I say Devi, that is when you draft players out of high school and you roster them until they get to the NFL. It's a fun format. It's for the true diehards out there. But you can see if you go adjusted yards per team play, so that is what I put in my model. That is receiving yards times 2 plus your rushing yards divided by team plays, all on a per game basis. His year 2 is toe-to-toe with Jeremiah Love. His year 1 is awesome. Let's focus on that first, all right? 46 catches as a true freshman. We want pass catching. Then he has 1,315 rushing yards and 25 catches as a sophomore. Injured in year 3, transfers to Oklahoma, and he only gets 70 touches, never really cracks a starting lineup. And that's a scary thing because Oklahoma's running back room was awful. They had no running back with 500 or more rushing yards. So the room was wide open for Jaden Ott to take, and he didn't. So there is something going on there. I couldn't tell you what it is. He also doesn't get invited to the combine. So this could be somebody that goes undrafted. But I will say he's having this weird surge over on Mock Draft Database where he's in like the 160s. He's the highest running back in the Mock Draft Database that wasn't invited to the combine by a very wide margin. I think that's a good thing for him. Maybe teams are picking up on that. He did crush his pro day, where you can see his pro day over at Oklahoma. 5'11", 201 pounds, so not like the biggest back in the world, but 4'4", 40, 40-inch vertical, 937 RAS. That's what you're looking for, and this is a profile I want to bet on, right? Like somebody who had early production, catches passes, and the comps in the database absolutely love him. Where the first few are a little more sobering, right? Justin Jackson, Zach Evans. And I do want to put that out there when I bring up his comps and you see like Marlon Mack and Aaron Jones. I'm not saying he's going to be Aaron Jones. I'm just saying that is somebody that looks sort of similar. If you squint, he's likely going to bust as the next, Zach Evans or whatever. But I do like myself some Jaden Ott. He does get comps to Aaron Jones and Marlon Mack in the database. 87th percentile breakout score is awesome. 68th percentile receiving score. He's a good athlete. If he goes somewhere good on day 3, I will be 100% interested. Now, these are players that I expect to probably go in the round 4 or 5 area. I'm not really worried about their... I don't think any of the guys will go UDFA is what I'm trying to say. And with that being said, my RB7 will be Katron Allen, which, by the way, I don't think it gets talked about enough that Katron is just an insane name. It's like Megatron, but Katron it's an awesome name, I think, for a running back. Not that really matters, but here's what I'll say about him. You can't really talk about Katron Allen without bringing up his running back teammate, Nick Singleton, who we'll talk about later. And it's really crazy. I am curious. I would love if somebody interviewed him on, I guess him and Nick Singleton. They both get brought in where Singleton's the number 1 running back recruit. Katron Allen's still a really strong running back recruit, 8th best in his class. And they stayed together for 4 straight years. In the NIL era, that is super rare to happen. And you can see they just kind of cannibalize each other's production every year, where they both had really strong freshman years, then really strong sophomore years. Singleton kind of beats him out in year 3. Katron Allen beats him out in year 4. Now, the issue with year 4 is their head coach gets fired, It was a year where they thought they were going to win it all. They had national championship hopes. They were like top 5 preseason, and everything crumbled around them. And it seems like Singleton kind of checked out, whereas Kaytron Allen took the opportunity by the horns and just kind of went crazy with it. Now, with Kaytron Allen, I don't know what the upside is. I will say he had 20 receptions as a freshman. He had 14 plus receptions in every season after that. He has 4,000 plus rushing yards over a 4-year career, but to me, he's like just fine. He's a good floor play. Lance Zierlein in his write-up for Kaytron Allen has him comped to Tyler Algier. I think it's a great comp as just a Kaytron Allen. To me, looks like an awesome handcuff. If he was ever given the opportunity, would be a 3-down solid player. That's awesome. But for me, it's just the RB7 because I do like some of these other profiles a little bit better. We'll talk about RB6 here. Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska. This is a super high floor player. The database brought up Michael Carter for him on the end here. I think Michael Carter is a perfect comp for Emmett Johnson. At 5'10", 202 pounds, 4'5", 640. He's a little less compact. Michael Carter was 5'8", 201. But at 202 pounds, only running a 4.56, he's just not a great athlete. He's going to catch passes. Ray Davis, another good comp for him. I'll be honest, he has 3 years of Met production, but then he does have 85 receptions in his final 2 years. He has a big peak year in year 4, but as a rusher, he's not great. He has the 4th worst yards after contact per carry in this class and the 4th worst 15-plus yard rush rate in this class. So he's probably more of a receiving back specialist, like high floor player. And when we start talking about these tiers up here, I do want the upside for 3-down workhorse. And I do think that is what my RB5 Nick Singleton gives you. Now, this could look super foolish if he goes 7th round to the Falcons as like a Tyler Algier replacement or something. But for now, I really like Singleton, right? We're in a spot in a class that is perceived as weak. This will likely be a mid to late 2nd round rookie pick. And in a class with a lot of like ground outs and singles, I want to swing for the fences. Now, I will be honest, the model doesn't really like Nick Singleton, but that's because he didn't test. If he had tested, I think that he would have ran really well at the combine. His speed score goes up, his RAS goes up, and then in turn, his mock draft database projected draft capital goes up. He, of course, gets a foot injury, and that has kind of screwed a lot of things up for him here. But I do still want to swing on the upside. You saw earlier, he was the number 1 running back recruit in this class. This is from Bruce Feldman's Freak List, where they talk about Nick Singleton like he is it's almost like folktale when it comes to Nick Singleton. He was the number 1 2017 Freaks List guy. He ran a 4.3 340, power clean 405 pounds, bench pressed 405 pounds. Saquon was the number 1 on 2017. Singleton is close to those numbers and better in the bench press. He benches 435 pounds. He improved his power clean to 395. His 40 is 435. His shuttle time is 418. His max velocity 23.5 miles per hour. And he actually broke Saquon's squat record for 665 pounds. He did 660 this offseason. Singleton's broad jump also went up 4 inches to 10.5. On top of that, he is 219 pounds, so pretty much 220 pounds. And you can see here, if you just look up Nick Singleton MPH, there's a lot of these college accounts that track your on-field speed. Hitting 21 plus miles per hour at his size is awesome. He's also somebody that the Next Gen Stats model has as the RB2 in this class, right? Total score, RB rank 2nd. That's mainly because of his athleticism score is estimated to be the best in this class. Again, we just didn't get to see it at the combine. So he has 220 plus pounds. Well, not 220 plus. He's like 219. He is a former 5-star recruit, so he has that pedigree. He is a freak athlete. And then on top of that, he has a 26, a 41, and a 24 catch season. So we have pass catching, we have pedigree, we have early career production. It's all right there. If you could guarantee me that he was a 2nd round draft pick and every running back in front of him was a 2nd round draft pick, Nick Singleton would be my RB2 in this class. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but essentially, like, if draft capital went out the window and didn't matter, these profiles in a vacuum, I like Singleton that much. He's one of my favorite players in this class. Now, moving on, let's go to my RB4. This is where I have Mike Washington in the A tier. These are guys now firmly in the mix to get drafted on day 2, which is your 2nd and 3rd round picks. Why that matters, and to kind of pour some cold water here on, you might fall in love with a 4th round or a 5th round or a 6th round pick. The first 3 rounds are king in fantasy football. You can see here, first round, obviously king, but you look back to 2017. Second round, still awesome. Third round, not great, but you still have like 20 plus point per game hits, 18 plus point per game hits right there with round 2 and 3. And then it kind of falls off a cliff where round 4 and 5, almost everything gets cut in half. And then round 6 and 7, your best outcome is 14 plus points per game in that range. Now, of course, there are exceptions to the rule, right? You can go back in time to like Arian Foster was a UDFA. Like it almost seems like UDFAs have higher ceilings than a round 6 and 7 guy, but we're dealing with small samples there. But you get what it is. From a number standpoint, if you can get drafted on round 2 or 3, that's a big deal. And Mike Washington right now is pretty much a lock to go on day 2. He's in the 60s in terms of his mock draft database consensus ranking. And that's mainly because he absolutely destroyed the combine. I like Latavius Murray as a comp for him. Where Latavius Murray was like this upright runner, 220 pounds, 4'3", 840. Mike Washington, 4'3", 40 at 220 pounds. That's about the comp, I think, right? Where Latavius Murray was solid in fantasy football for a while. I think he'd be a great outcome for Mike Washington. But the reason why I have him RB4 and I'm not like super stoked about him is because, yes, he's one of the most athletic running backs ever at the combine, Dwayne McFarland points out here, but it never really translated. 35th percentile in 10-plus yard carry rate, 27th percentile on yards after contact per carry, 25th percentile missed tackles forced per touch. It's just not great. And then also his career production is kind of lacking here. If we look at his experience-adjusted yards per team play, you have one peak season in year 5, and even that isn't above the dotted line. I guess it's one of the better production peaks in this class. If you do want to squint, though, really awesome athlete. He'll get the draft capital, and then he also had 20-plus receptions in 2 of his 5 seasons. So size, speed, pass catching, draft capital, that's all there for you to like. And it's very easy for me to see him getting ranked, for me, over my RB3, Jonah Coleman. I like Jonah Coleman, but I'm not sure the NFL does. If the NFL drafts him on day 3 and Mike Washington goes in round 3, so let's say Jonah Coleman round 4, Mike Washington round 3, I will probably prefer Mike Washington. But for now, I do like Jonah Coleman. He gets comped to Zach Moss and David Montgomery, which I think are two, like, a nice, like, floor and, like, sort of ceiling. David Montgomery, say what you want, has had a pretty solid career. He had one, like, really good peak season with the Bears. He's had some strong seasons with the Lions. And then Zach Moss is a floor, where Zach Moss had, like, one stretch with the Colts that was fun. And that's kind of it. But we're talking, 220-pound back, can do it all sort of player. Looks good in your PFF metrics, right? So all of them have 85th percentile or better PFF scores there. Again, 220 pounds, day 2 pick, so that's round 2 or 3. And then you also have with Jonah Coleman, he's 5'8", 220 pounds, so he's like compact, 20-plus catches in each of his last 3 seasons. Again, that PFF score is because he has the best metric in this class in terms of 32% missed tackles forced per carry. He's 3rd in this class in yards after carry per attempt. He's 5th best in rushes of 10-plus yards in terms of like the rate on that, like chunk rate. So he is a really good metric-based runner. He has size, pass catching. It's all there. Really solid profile. And then we will talk about my RB2, who I think I'm higher than most on. I like Jadarian Price just because I think that he is a mystery box. The bad, right? Lack of production, doesn't really have any sort of peak year, right? We can see from this chart here, year 2, 3, 4, nothing crazy there, but he was behind Jeremiah Love. He's also never had more than 6 catches in a season, but again, he was behind Jeremiah Love. I do think that it is impressive for him to still command like 674 yards, 13 total touchdowns in a year with Jeremiah Love. The team still made it a point to use Jadarian Price despite having Jeremiah Love. Love probably wins the Heisman this year if not for Jadarian Price. And then Jadarian Price also has some fun upside where he leads this class in 15-plus yard run rate. He's 2nd in yards after contact per attempt, 2nd in 10-plus yard run rate, 6th in missed tackles forced per touch. He's also an awesome kick returner, which I know that that's not like the end-all be-all, but it just shows me that he's a big play player where he had 3 kick return touchdowns on 22 kick returns. 36.1 yards per kick return is just absolutely absurd. And his closest comp makes a ton of sense. Miles Sanders, right? Miles Sanders backed up Saquon Barkley for the longest time. He gets drafted higher than his production would suggest. Both of these guys, 4.4 40s. Jadarian Price a little bit smaller at 203 pounds, but I think that he could be a really fun back in the NFL. He has a ton of steam to go like 32nd overall to the Seahawks. If he gets drafted in round 2 or like top 50, I will definitely like him as like a late first style player in Dynasty rookie drafts. And then our last player, we won't spend much time on him. Jeremiah Love. I'll zoom out so you can see like the entire list here. But Jeremiah Love, RB1, set and forget that. If you want to see the RS grade database here, Jeremiah Love, one of 6 running backs that hit the legendary tier. It's McCaffrey, Saquon, Bijan, Fournette, Gentry. It's an awesome list to be a part of. You can see why. 99th percentile film score, 73rd percentile receiving, 97th percentile PFF, 78th breakout, 85th athleticism, 212 pounds, size, speed, pedigree, draft capital. He's awesome. These legendary running backs, they usually hit 100% if hit an 18-plus point per game season. I think Jeremiah Love will do that himself. But that is going to do it for us today. That is my top 15 running backs we're going to lock in before the NFL draft here. Again, if you want access to this new sort of tool that I built, that's over on the Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. And again, if you're already on the Patreon and you're watching this, please go check out the tool. Give me feedback. Like I want you guys to go out there and like break it, like use it. Give me feedback. Say, hey Ron, I wish I could do this, or like this is a little wonky or whatever. I want to make it a good experience for you guys because I do think that has been lacking. A way for you guys to actually look at the entire thing yourself. Go back to 2017. Look at all the grades, compare things, download it to your own Excel sheets, whatever. Again, that'll all be on the Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. My rookie rankings, my dynasty rankings, all that good stuff and more, all on the Patreon. If you're already subscribed, leave a like. Subscribe to the YouTube if you're new on this RS Dynasty channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Stones, like this froze, ice cold, oh, oh.